Renae, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining me today to answer a few questions about your journey of ditching the sugar.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Great. Well, so we'll dive right in and I'll ask you, what was your reason for wanting to ditch the sugar?
Yeah, cool. I guess it was probably when I was about 21, I moved out of home and I moved to Melbourne. I'm originally from Perth, and I had to learn how to cook for myself because no one else was going to do it anymore. So I kind of started diving into cookbooks at first. And then it was blogs and then books and podcasts. And I stumbled across the Wellness Guys podcast. And that kind of kicked off the whole health and wellness thing. And then I stumbled across Lee Holmes and then Sarah Wilson before the whole I Quit Sugar thing, just her personal blog.
Yep.
And so it kind of grew and grew from there. And I've got some family health issues, heart disease, diabetes, cancers, mental health issues. So it just kind of all started to make sense to me, and I started kind of exploring that a little bit more. So that's where it all kicked off, I guess.
Sure. So how long have you been sugar-free?
So that was probably about 27 now, so 5 or 6 years ago. And I dabbled with it for a little while, but it's probably been like a really big part of my life for, I'd say, a good solid 3 years now.
Oh, so have you ditched all the sugar or just the refined sugar?
Mostly just the refined sugars. Like, I really don't touch that at all. And I don't even think about it anymore. I just crave whole, real foods. If I do have, like a sweet treat or whatever, it'll be something like, homemade chocolate or, dark chocolate sometimes, or, banana bread with rice malt syrup or maple syrup or something like that in it. So when I did first stop eating the refined sugars, it was that I cut everything out for a little while. But I don't work well with the complete restriction thing. I find that I'll just want it more if I focus on all the things I can't have. And I think it's important to have a balance in your life. I mean, we're only human.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
No, that's great. That's sort of leads me to my next question. What steps did you take to quit the sugar? So obviously you started by quitting the whole lot to begin with to recalibrate your system.
Yeah, that's definitely how it started. I think just trying to remember back with her Sarah Wilson's website, that's when she just started with the whole quitting sugar thing. And I just remember immersing myself in that, and she had tips around how to, start to get yourself off sugar. So that's where I started, and that's why I went kind of gung-ho first, like you say, to kind of detox your body and get your body back to its natural state. So I started with that, and then it was just a matter of just really educating myself, like getting online, looking at blogs, reading books, podcasts, like I said before, and really getting curious in the kitchen. I think so many people are intimidated by cooking. I can't cook. It's just so much easier to go and get Thai from the place down the road, and it's not hard to get in the kitchen. You don't have to be a master chef. I just focused on experimenting and having an open mind, and being open to new foods that maybe you wouldn't have tried before, or you've got this idea that I don't like that, but maybe you would like it if you added this spice or herb or whatever to it. So it was kind of taking that approach to it and being really open, I think, to begin with, and then just getting rid of all the crap in my house, really.
Yeah, if it's not there, you can't eat it. Yeah. No,
just having, sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I was just gonna add that, I agree with the experiment in the kitchen, but I'm one of those people who was afraid to cook, I will admit. I've never really cooked growing up, and then I married a chef originally, so he did a lot of the cooking, and when he wasn't home, it was just a quick meal for one. I didn't really learn much until I, branched out on my own and my marriage broke up. And when I had to go to all the Whole Foods and when I got diagnosed with leaky gut and I couldn't have all the things couldn't have all the things that they said I couldn't have, I freaked out. I was like, I don't know how to cook and stuff like that. But, for me, that's when I joined IIN and I learned a lot as I went along on how to cook food. So that was really a positive step for me to get me in the kitchen, was to be a part of IIN. But before that, I would read a recipe and I'd freak out with all of these ingredients that I didn't know, and then all the extra cost of buying all of these ingredients. But, over the last 2.5 years, with having to learn to cook with whole foods and start from scratch and use all, whole ingredients and herbs and spices, my pantry's full of everything I need now. It's just picked a few things at a time that had crossover ingredients, and then, just slowly added in recipes that I practiced the same one a couple of times until I got it right. And then now I have, half a dozen easy ones that I can go to when I'm really busy. And then when I find the time, I'll pick a new recipe. I try to do that once a week, just have something different once a week. And it becomes fun, I think. I'm like, I'm going to try something new, and then it turns out well, and it's a bit of, it's a journey.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the way you approach it, and I always say to people that, they want to get in the kitchen, I'm like, give a recipe a few times. The first time you do it, it's not going to be quick and easy and fun the first time necessarily. It's, it might be a little difficult and it'll take you a bit longer, but the more you do it, the more you'll learn it, and then you can, once you've done it a few times, you won't need to look at that recipe and you can put it away in your go-to.
Yeah.
Like, my partner has only just started cooking and he did this recipe from the Jamie Oliver 30-minute cookbook, and it took him 2.5 hours. But that's all part of it. I'm sure he'll get better, but
yeah. Well, I've got my partner in the kitchen now.
A fun approach.
Yeah, I've got my partner in the kitchen now cooking one of our go-tos that we always have. It's a paleo one by Pete Evans, and he's in there doing that now, and it's really easy for him because he's had to go to a couple of times. So, that's something that it probably doesn't feel, possible for, maybe some of the people that might listen to this interview. But it is. Here are you and I both sharing that if you take, a couple of recipes at a time, just have a play around. Sometimes they taste horrible, you make a mistake, but it's part of the fun. And eventually you've got a repertoire of all these recipes that you can, access in a hurry. So when you quit sugar, Renae, what sort of support did you surround yourself with at the time?
Well, it was a little difficult because I was away from home, so I was away from that core support system, I guess.
Yeah.
The good thing about doing it through the I Quit Sugar program, there was a bit of support through other people that were doing it. Mm-hmm. Not as much so as it is now, because it's just blown up now. I wasn't on Instagram back then and involved in Facebook as Also Wellness like I am now. So I think the main thing with support was just telling people what I was doing, and not having to go really deep into it, but just so people were aware and I could have some conversations with people and I didn't feel like I was, completely alone. And just kind of even different blog posts, commenting on blog posts, and you get replies from people, and then you kind of start to realise that, you're not this crazy person that's trying to quit sugar, you're not this crazy woo-woo hippie person, heaps of people are wanting to improve their health. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's truckloads of support around quitting sugar now, including the, experience that I'm trying to create for people that, don't want to pay for a program. I'm offering them a free experience. So it's a lot easier, and, there's Facebook groups and people dedicated to all sorts of health changes now. So you can get online and ask questions and, they love helping you out. There's just a lot of support.
There's so much stuff out there. It's crazy. There's so many blogs, so many groups. It's everywhere. You just have to have a bit of a search around for it. Yeah.
And when you were doing all of this at the beginning, what did you find was the biggest obstacle, the thing that was probably the most challenging when you turned your life into a, to more holistic, healthy kind of way of life, living?
Quitting the sugar. I think what was challenging at the beginning was the mindset. I think just what has been ingrained in us is just that, like, sugar's just a part of life. Like, you have dinner and you have dessert. Like, you do something good, you reward yourself with chocolate or ice cream, and that's fine. Like, just we grew up in that whole, like, low-fat, mass-produced food, sugar, that's how we grew up. So I guess just changing the ideas around that and being really open to these new ideas that I wasn't really aware of before, that could be quite challenging at times because it's ingrained in you for however long, and then you're trying to change the thought process. But just remaining open with it, I guess, and just always kind of questioning and exploring, not just believing everything that you read straight away, like kind of delving into it a little bit more. I found it was almost just giving myself more evidence to back up what I was doing, which was helpful, just a greater understanding. Yeah.
And I mean, hearing you say that, sorry, what was I going to say? You know, there is a lot of information out there in that you know, giving up sugar does feel like a challenging mindset, you know, to do it. So, you know, and you're expressing that idea of that it is challenging to think around, to change your mindset from eating low-fat foods to eating whole-fat foods and no sugar, because myself included, I was brought up on the low-fat diet. So for me to suddenly eat whole-fat foods was a bit of a shock to the system. But boy, I love raving about how amazing I feel now. But you know, for us, we're in the world, we're in the health and wellness world, and we're on that journey because we're passionate about it. So, you know, we're sitting here expressing that it's a difficult mindset, in our opinion, and we're passionate about it. So I guess what I'm trying to express is that for people that are just hearing about or just discovering this change, and it's something that they realize that they need to do, but they're not really that passionate about it, it's just that they know they're going to fix their health if they do it, it is even harder for them. And I understand, in some of the interviews I've done already, the women have expressed that, you know, at times, some of the difficult times are going out for dinner, being with friends that say, you know, just have one, or all of those things. And that's perfectly normal to come up against. We all get that. It's just having that determination, commitment, having patience. I'm not sure whether, you know, while you were doing it, you had moments where you did eat something that wasn't really ideal. And if you did, what did you do around that? Did you just pick up from where you left off the next day, or?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, because I think it's really important. As you know, people in the health and wellness world, and it is our passion. And yeah, like you're saying, it's hard for us. Like, it must be even harder for people that don't come from that background. And it's like, I'm the first one to say, like, I'm not a purist. Like, you know, don't put me on a pedestal. Like, we're human, of course. We're gonna mess up or whatever. But it's about, I think, being just really gentle with yourself. Yeah. Like, don't, I guess, beat up on yourself. If you're in the office and you have afternoon tea and you have a piece of cake, you have a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Get back on board on your next meal, you know. I think it's so easy for people to be like, I had that piece of cake, like, I may as well just get back on it tomorrow. I may as well go home and eat a whole pizza, and then I'm going to have that giant chocolate cake because I've already stuffed up. So, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then they're just going to feel horrible. Yeah. So I think it's about just, accepting it and being like, okay, I ate that. Noticing how you feel when you eat it as well. How not even just in your mind, but in your body. How is that sitting with you? And then be like, okay, well, this is just a lesson. This is just another signpost that what I'm doing is in the right direction, and I'm just going to pick up from where I left off next meal. Like, it's fine. So I think just being really gentle with yourself, because it can be overwhelming and it's hard. Sugar is an addiction.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to stop that.
Yeah, that leads me to another really great point. You know, with I think one of the biggest benefits, and what I talk about is, you know, I still eat sugar. First to admit it. I mean, I had a piece of cacao chocolate this afternoon, but that's all I need. You know, for me, it's the time of month. That's usually when I want a little bit. But, you know, when I look back, it would be a whole block before, and I wouldn't feel guilty about the whole block before. I'd just go and exercise for 2 hours or something. But once you recalibrate your system and you learn that sugar is an addiction and you can find that balance again, you can enjoy sugar. I honestly, that's why I don't believe in, I'm not a purist either, and I don't believe in giving anything up fully. Life's, you know, a journey and a process, and you've got to have fun and enjoy it. But it's about having the freedom to do those, to have the choice. That's what I'm trying to educate people or help them understand, is that so many people are addicted, like you said. They're on a cycle of addiction. They're on a cycle of illness that they can break. It's totally within their power to break it. And when they break it, then they will still be able to go out and have a piece of birthday cake. But what they'll find is they'll probably only want half the amount that they used to have, or even a small slice, because all of a sudden sugar becomes very sweet, and you realize how much you crash afterwards, and all of the side effects of sugar become very, very prominent and very obvious. So you do go steady on it after that. But it's just getting to that point where the choice is yours. It's freedom. It's not, you're not addicted anymore. That's what I want to help people get to, because I just, it's very scary to see how many people are addicted to sugar. And when you approach the subject of ditching sugar, it's like almost unfathomable for people, because they're like, what's life without celebration and birthday cake and things like that? And it's like, but it wasn't, we didn't always have those things as celebration. There's so many other ways to celebrate things, and, you know, you don't have to do that. And you'll feel better for it, and your life will be more full, and you'll have more energy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and it's just that mindset shift. It's not about depriving yourself. No. It's about just giving yourself the knowledge to make educated choices around what you're putting in your body. And once you know that, it's like a whole new world. Like, it's just crazy. And like you say, it's when you get back to baseline with your body, it's like you will have a bit of that cake, like you're saying, but you'll notice, like, oh, I'm good, I'm satisfied with that smaller amount. Whereas, like before, I would eat like a whole tub of cookies and cream ice cream. Like, if I was emotional, like, there was no halves, and it was a big one. Like, I would eat all of that.
And that's what I love as well. Every single woman that I've spoken to has been there. You know, everyone that's turned their life around sugar has been there. We're not some special breed of people that can give that up really quickly. We have done it. We've eaten the whole tub, and we've gone back and had an indulgence in the middle of a diet or whatever. We've done the ups and downs, the roller coasters, the whole thing, and we're still sitting here saying it could be done. So if we can do it, everyone else can do it. And we're here to help them do it. That's the whole point, as being a health coach.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm just going to wrap up so that we don't run out of time, and ask you, if you were to name the best benefit from quitting sugar, what would that be?
Knowledge. Like, it's got heaps of health benefits. Cleared up my skin, eczema, IBS.
Cool.
More energy, but it was the thing that started me on the whole health and wellness journey, and it gave me the knowledge to make those educated choices, like I said before, and that has been the greatest gift. And it sounds corny, but it honestly has just changed my life. Like, it really has.
Yeah, I agree. I would say the same. So well, thank you so much for your time, Renae. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Sure we will.